Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Carter Hour. What you see in front of you is kind of a vintage motherboard. This motherboard has some history going back. This was my second built computer that I'd ever built in my entire life. What it consisted was, I built this computer, I think it was the latter part of 2001, 2002, and this mother is a Tyan server motherboard, and I wanted a motherboard with not one but two processors, so I could have dual processors. Nowadays you have dual core processors, quad core, hexa-core, octa-cores, and keeps going on. So what today what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to fire this bad boy back up. I clean the motherboard, and what kind of processors I was using. Now this was 2001 back in the day, and I'll tell you exactly how I built this. Essentially, I built this with 1 gig of RAM. We're talking 2001, 2002. That was unheard of back in the day. Sported these AMD Athlon MP processors. Now, you could put an XP processor in this motherboard, but you could not utilize two XP processors. The MP, all the difference was between the MP and the XP was essentially this had the ability to work with another processor, as the XP did not. So these were AMD Athlon MP 2000 Plus. So it was probably 1.7 gigahertz around that point in time. But I ran this machine all the way up to 2007 and never had a problem running any of the newest software. So my plan is, for this complete system, is to build a firewall out of it. It's not 64-bit, it's still 32-bit, but it does have 64-bit PCI bus sockets on there, so I guess you could avoid the bottleneck, server cards and such. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start kind of just building this up, and what we have Thermaltake heat sinks, and I bought these years ago, and these things are really heavy. They've got to be about maybe probably 2 to 4 pounds. A lot of copper on there, and also I get an Antec 400 watt power supply, which is more than adequate to do the job. So I'm just going to kind of build it on here. I don't have the CMOS battery installed back in here, which I'll have to do at some point in time, but I'm going to go ahead and assemble this, and we'll see if it works. Now I got to make sure my monitor's plugged in. I'm going to go ahead and make sure the monitor is powered up and everything, so we're ready to go. I know the power supply is already powered up, and this was another dishwasher power supply. Tested it, works great. So let's get started with assembling this thing up together, and I'm just going to do it as a simple test rig. As you notice, this switch over here is just a rig so I can turn the motherboard on and off. So see how it goes. I haven't powered this motherboard up in about 1.5 years, so I don't even know if it still works. Hopefully it does. So be right back with you. Now, I don't know why my camcorder went out there, but hopefully we're online again here. Hopefully it was recording everything. If it wasn't, I just installed both the processors, and these are AMD Athlon MP 2000 Pluses. Motherboard is a Tyan Tiger S2466. So we're going to go ahead and try and get this organized out here. Yeah, that's the right way. So, as I remember, these were always a pain to install. So we're going to try to get them installed as easy as possible, though easy tends to not be in my vocabulary these days. There we go. So go ahead and there we go. One heat sink down. Processor fan 1. Okay, that's that. And now I'm going to do the same thing. And these actually go in the opposite direction. Now I really like these heat sinks, but they don't tend to install easily. It always makes me cringe. There we go. Okay, so number 2 is installed. Now these did come with variable speed knobs that you can mount either in the back or in front of your computer, because these things these fans sound like jet engines when they start up, and you'll hear that if the motherboard does start up. So I'm going to go ahead and install some RAM here. I don't know if it's any good. It's DDR PC 2100. So, I mean, it wasn't fast back in the day. It was DDR. And one thing that's nice about this motherboard is that you don't have to install registered RAM in it. Because generally in motherboards, you got to install registered RAM. But in this case, I'm going to put some other RAM in here. I don't know if it works or not. We will see what happens. If it does, it doesn't. And it's hard to work on a piece of foam knowing that you gotta push the RAM down in there. So if it doesn't work with this RAM, what we'll do is we'll just pull it out and use the original RAM. That's acting nice. And then we'll put the video card in. Now this gets a little close. Processor here. But and I have jumpers on these fans to keep them running at full speed. Never really liked the variable speed fans. Go ahead and kill the power on this. And I'm going to go ahead and put the power into. Now this is only a 20 pin, which nowadays you see 24 pin. But it also has an extra power that you need to hook up to it right in here. You can either use the 4 pin. Now this might have, yeah, this has a 4 pin on it, so we'll just use the 4 pin. There we go. Alright, 4 pin. Now it gives you an opportunity or choice to which one you want to use. And I'm going to go ahead and plug in the keyboard here. I've got my video cable here. Let's see if it powers up. Now I don't have any hard drives on this, and I'll do another video with it booting up an operating system But for right now, I just want to do it for test purposes, make sure it posts, and so on and so forth. So what we're going to do is we're going to kick it on. Hopefully it comes on. And that's, sounds like we've got a seized fan there. There we go. I don't think this RAM's any good, so let's hopefully be able to get a post here. And we have a post. And now it's just going through the memory count up, which it does. It only does it once, when either the CMOS battery is taken out, power's cut for a long period of time. It'll do the memory count up, or if it detects any new memory, it'll do the count up once more. Now, you can see 8.5 of 03. This was the BIOS upgrade. The version 4.06 BIOS Tyan Tiger MPX. So it should count up a gig of RAM. And now it's complaining about the date and time, which is going to happen because I don't have the CMOS battery in there. So I guess another success. I did clean this motherboard in the dishwasher, and one thing I'll tell you that this motherboard beats all the new ones out there is because of the fact that not only did it use lead solder, this thing's been a trooper. I mean, this motherboard is 10 or 11 years old. I mean, it still runs, and I'm sure I could even put Windows XP or Windows 7 on it. It did run XP before, so I'm sure I could put Windows 7 on it without a problem. But the only problem is with that is, you know, it's only 32 bits. So. Anyways, for another edition, thank you for joining me. I will do this rig again, and I'll put an operating system on a hard drive, and maybe Linux or something, and we'll see how fast it boots up, and maybe we'll even do some run some diagnostics tools on it and see what it benchmarks at. Probably not very much nowadays, but hey, I'll tell you, for back in the day, it was a great system. It was expensive too. For another edition of the Carter Hour, June 29th, 2013. Thanks for joining.